So Tia-Clair Toomey has officially said that she is going to make a 7th run at the CrossFit Games, to the shock and surprise, well, probably not of many people at this point. But I definitely think there's more going on below the surface. So let's unpack that. Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about Tia's retirement or lack of retirement, a conversation that's been going on more or less since the final event of the CrossFit Games. And that is by far the biggest story here in my opinion. Tia competing at the Games for another year in and of itself isn't that big a surprise, isn't that big a story. Yes, the women that are chasing her might be a little bit disappointed unless they really think they have a chance of beating her, in which case her retirement could be disappointing. And of course there's always that conversation of whether or not it's boring to have a champion that is so dominant. Some people feel that way. Others think it's a wonderful thing to see that dominance in action. Let me know what you prefer in the comments. And while you're down there, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But the story behind her retirement, or the speculation about her retirement, that I do think is interesting. And the more I look into it, I start to wonder whether or not this was just an honest mistake, or if it wasn't some part of a bigger PR plan. To the point that I might slip into conspiracy theory sort of territory, so stay tuned for that. I also think the fact that over the last 6 years, Tia hasn't just been a dominant athlete on the field, but has been an incredible ambassador for the sport itself. And that's why this whole situation is just a little bit strange. So while there had been a lot of speculation about whether or not that was Tia's last year, was she retiring, was she going to make another run at the Games, she'd even spoken on mainstream media about her intention to go again, but we hadn't really had that official announcement from Tia. Until recently on her own YouTube channel. Now a very small portion of that video was shared by CrossFit, but watching the whole video is interesting because that clip that CrossFit shared, well, that starts around the 8-minute mark of a 10-minute video. But don't worry, I'm going to talk about what happens in those previous 8 minutes. But let's look at that portion of the video that CrossFit did share regarding her intentions.
Down Under Championships.
And 2023 CrossFit Games.
Oh, snap.
What did we just say then?
So, you know, there has been lots of rumors, lots of speculation, lots of just people commenting on everything and anything.
Okay, let's stop it there just for a second, because these statements that Tia's making, they're a little bit misleading. She's saying how, you know, everybody wants to know what she was doing and everybody was commenting or asking whether or not she was retiring. Now, why was that? I did make a video immediately after her final event at the CrossFit Games where I went into some of the reasons we might think she is going to retire. For example, her whole family were there for the first time, the film crew that was following her around, her general attitude and demeanor during that final event. And if that was the only reason, well, I could understand the comments that she's making here. But the biggest reason people thought that Tia was going to retire was this.
Move over Matt. Step aside Rich. For the 6th time and for the final time, Tia Toomey is the fittest woman on earth. And if you're wondering why Tia Toomey took her time and soaked it in, this is it. She is planning to retire after the CrossFit Games.
So Sean announced on the live stream that this was her final event, this was her final Games, she was retiring. And many people have gone after Sean about this and why did he say that? And he has spoken quite publicly about the fact that this is the information he was given. He double, triple checked his resources. This was the news coming out from her camp. He actually had to rewrite the statements that he had prepared for her victory at the CrossFit Games in order to incorporate this. And he would not have done that had he not been completely sure that she was going to retire. So clearly someone must have told him. Why else would he put his reputation on the line? Now, of course, there is also a school of thought that even if Sean had known 100% she was going to retire, did he need to say it? Couldn't he have just been promoting the fact that this was the 7th victory as an individual, something no one else had ever achieved in the sport? That's quite dramatic in and of itself. And then giving Tia the opportunity to tell the crowd, maybe when she was interviewed, that she had the intention to retire. And if that had been the way he was going, even if she'd then changed her mind, well, we wouldn't have seen all of this happen. Regardless, that isn't how it played out. It was announced that she was retiring. Shaun wouldn't have done that unless someone had told him. So it does seem that at one point her intention was to retire, and she changed her mind. And it's usually at this point that people say, well, isn't Tia free to change her mind? Shouldn't she be allowed to change her mind? And absolutely, Tia can do whatever she wants, and she should 100% be allowed to change her mind. You know, if Matt Fraser wants to come back, he's also welcome to change his mind. That isn't the issue here. Let's finish the clip of Tia talking about her intentions for the CrossFit Games.
And so we just thought we would lay it all out straight, and so you could hear it from the horse's mouth. Drum roll, please, sir. I'm going another year. Woohoo!
Cool.
And in my head, there's like confetti, and there's like fireworks, and you know, everything's happening. Can we do like special effects, Brandon? Yeah. You want to elaborate?
Looks like my season has extended and I still have a job for 2023. Cool.
Woohoo!
So I can understand that when you're being interviewed for 5 minutes on network television, you might not have the opportunity to say everything exactly the way you want to. But this was her video on her channel. At this point, she could have said, once there was a plan to retire, I changed my mind. I didn't feel like I'd given it everything I've got. I wanted to go for another run. 7 sounds better than 6, whatever the reason. If she just said that at one time that was the plan, even if she just said that she was talking to her team about potentially this would be her last year, and maybe someone got the wrong end of the stick and they miscommunicated that information with Shaun, that would be fine. Basically, this was a great opportunity just to clear up what happened, to set the matter straight, and maybe do a big favour for Shaun Woodland. And if she had done that, I don't think anybody would have thought any less of her. But that didn't happen. She just doesn't address it. But I have one more question for you, because I've got to wonder, was this just a misunderstanding? Did she simply change her mind? Or was this a masterstroke of media manipulation? Because remember what she said, people keep asking her, people keep commenting. So people are watching her vlogs, they're watching the things she appears on, because they want to see if she's going to address the fact of whether or not she's retiring. And if you don't think that's the fact, just remember that people like myself, we watched a news show from Nashville. Why else would I do that? So since the games had finished and Tia wasn't competing anywhere, there wouldn't have been a lot of reason for people to be speaking about Tia. But because of this confusion as to whether or not she was retiring, since the conclusion of the games until now, we are still constantly speaking about what Tia's doing. And now she's finally addressed it. She's addressed it on her YouTube channel in a video she has titled My Official 2023 Announcement. A video that has racked up a lot more views than the previous videos she'd put out that week or the weeks before. And I mean, of course, all things are relative. Those other videos still racked up a lot more views than anything that I'm putting out. But you can see how much better this video is doing because people want to know. But remember, I said she doesn't address that until 8 minutes into a 10-minute video. So what are those first 8 minutes? Well, in those first 8 minutes, they're talking a little bit about their plans for the coming weeks and months leading up to the games. And they talk a lot about the Rogue Invitational that she's not competing at but will be attending, and they really sell it. And they talk about the Noble Film Festival, another incredible event. Don't forget to buy your tickets. So basically, it's 8 minutes of promotion before they get to the news of what she's planning to do for the games. And I can't help but wonder what kind of deals were in place for this level of promotion. So what do you think? Was this planned from the beginning, or was it just a happy accident? Because no matter what we think, it's definitely been positive in order to get people talking about and watching things regarding Tia. However, maybe the way the announcement happened and the fact that she hasn't addressed this issue regarding Shaun Woodland hasn't been the most positive thing in a number of people's eyes. As always though, I'd love to know what you think, so please let me know in the comments your opinion on all of this. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I hope to see you in a future video.